Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we're looking at one of two new outfits that were added to the Cosmic Exploration in patch 7.41, one of which is actually from the Cosmic Fortune minigame over here on the new planet Oizes. It costs 1000 Oizes credits that you get from obviously doing your stellar missions, and basically you will be able to have a chance at spinning for that chess piece. As you can see, it's not on this list, but here's some footage showing that it's definitely on there, and that is called the Powersuit. If your RNG is as good as mine, then this is also market tradable as well in a coffer form. And said coffer is the Powersuit coffer. This is a banded chest containing a complete Powersuit helm included. Upon opening the chest piece, you are greeted to a two-piece outfit. This includes the Powersuit helm, which is double dyeable, as well as a chest piece, but also contains arms, legs, and feet all together. So this is a two-piece outfit added to the game. So then this is what it looks like. We're in the Grand Cosmos, where it's always the same time of day, nice bright conditions with natural lighting. So as you can see, this is a two-piece set. And yeah, I'm not massively a huge fan of two-piece sets unless they have something unique to them. It would, of course, be nice to separate more parts of this. As you can see, this suit is effectively an exoskeleton with actuators attached to all major joints of your body, designed obviously to compensate for low gravity situations and obviously to help you walk and run on surfaces. Things like this do actually exist in real life, only on a much more basic scale. This is definitely something straight out of sci-fi. And of course, the gaps within the suit, you know, if this was to be used in space, that wouldn't be so good. So it's more likely to be used in somewhere that has a habitable atmosphere, and you just basically need help lifting things or function. It's kind of cool though. I do like the aesthetic of it. I just wish parts of this were separatable. In terms of detail, we've got some really nice aesthetic details, some asymmetrical details that you would expect, lots of greebling, as you can see, which you would find on sci-fi equipment and spaceships and the like, where shin guards are different colors, different shapes. There are different shaped knee pads, things like that. Yeah, there's a lot of belt buckles, lots of bits of metal actuators, like we say, hydraulic sort of connections. It's pretty cool, actually. And then looking at the back of the suit there with all of those different components, it looks pretty nice, honestly. And looking at the back of this suit, then you can see all of those components connecting it together down the spine of your character. Very science fiction. There's just so many movies that this could be taking its direction from. Yeah, I don't hate it. But again, I'm still not a massive fan of two-piece sets. Of course, the main highlight of this set, though, is actually the helm, because that's the single separate piece. And a lot of people have been talking about this on social media, saying how cool it is. It reminds me of those cat ear headphones that you would once get at the very top, especially on a Mikote here, and presumably also Rothgar. Anybody with cat ears will get cat ears on their helmet. And it reminds me of accent wear headphones. Do you remember those? Maybe that's something people don't remember, but one of the first sets of cat ear headphones to come out had little speakers in the top and little lights. It kind of looked a little bit similar to that. It's pretty groovy though. I really like this helmet. And of course, it does change depending on what race your character is. For example, we used a Fantasia to show that this, again, is female Rothgar. This is my character, and again, we get the cat ears on that helm. And of course, that does mean that if you are playing a higher, female or male, you will have no cat ears, effectively. It is just a fully enclosed helmet with no notable extra details. But you will notice that the lights, instead of being built into the cat ear motif, are actually just sort of bolted to the side of the helmet at the top. And unfortunately, it's the same for Aura characters as well. You would have kind of expected there to be horns or something, or a special version for Aura, but unfortunately those also do not count. They just get a straight humanoid model as well. And obviously the same for Rogadin, looking exactly the same as Haya, obviously just a bit bigger and bulkier. And the same can be said about Lalafell as well, where you don't have access to those special ears either. They're just bolt-on lights. However, finally, on Viera, as you can see with my Fantasiad character to Viera, there is different headlights in the form of robotic ears at the top of the helmet on Viera characters. So in addition to Hrothgar and obviously Mikote, Viera are the only other ones that get special ears on the top of their helmet. And I think these are especially cool. I've seen a lot of people with these. I do think the uniqueness of that makes this helmet definitely a must-have, even if it's just for the helmet, even if you don't like the one-piece chest piece, arms, legs, and feet. I think that a helmet is awesome, personally. Just for a second, also, another thing I like is that there are some lights on the top of the helmet, obviously cat ears or bunny ears, or normal, just like lights on the side of your head, depending on your race. You can actually visor command those on and off as well. So that's a really neat feature that you can turn the lights on and off. I do like that. That's cool. All right, so this is the base color. Let's look at some dyes then. We're going to use our usual 2-directional channels, so both dye palettes going in separate directions, to give you a fair example of some contrasting colors. I think a lot of the colors on this do work quite nicely. I think the correct sections are dyeing for both the secondary and primary palette, and I do think it benefits from that in a big way. There are obviously some parts of this that I think would benefit from obviously, you know, slightly more color, but at the same time I do like the outlines of all of the metal and the fact that the pipes are changing as well. There's very little to dislike about that. The helm is especially shiny and it seems to reflect a lot of light. The brighter the color, obviously that visor is dyed. That is the secondary palette of that is the main visor, and it looks pretty great in my opinion. I do like vibrant colors though, so I'm probably going to end up with some neon colors on mine, probably on my crafters or gatherers, just to see me out, you know, in the darkness. You'll be able to find me 7 miles away, but the helm is definitely going to be something I think people use and vibe with, especially if you're a Viera, because I just think it's so stylish. But yeah, I don't know. It's cool. I just like it. But that might be just my opinion. I think solid dyes are quite useful. And if you're looking for kind of like a, you know, an actual construction system sort of look, yellow and black would probably suit the best. And it'd go well with if you were matching it to one of the mounts, for example, like the big dump truck from the moon. But yeah, all in all, not too bad and pretty decent dyes for what this is, really. But yeah, with that being said, the various parts of this outfit do stand out separately. I do think that the gloves definitely could have been made separate as much as the helm. The helm itself is beautiful though. The reflections here, as you can see here, it's reflecting the interior of the Grand Cosmos as far as I can tell there. So it seems to be true reflections based on where you're stood, as far as I can tell. Unless it does like a random place in the world if you're in a place that it doesn't want to show reflections, of course. That can happen with some reflection models where it'll just display something randomly from the game, usually an in-room or something. The details on this are great. The underside of the hat then itself has the sponge sort of suction interior, so it should go quite well with other spacesuits and bulky armor. With the seal connection between the helmet and the chest piece actually being on a chest piece, it does mean that mixing and matching with this helm with the other spacesuits and other pieces of gear will be a lot easier. However, you will still have to deal with a fair amount of clipping, or at least, you know, the proposal of clipping. So yeah, this is the Cosmo suit, also from Cosmic Exploration. And as you can see, because it's got quite a wide rim, it does actually sit somewhat flush, but there is a certain amount of clipping that you can very easily see there. And if we combine the Powersuit helm with the Star Pilot suit, also from Cosmic Exploration, this one's obviously a lot lighter, so it sort of fits quite well. Although it's not a very bulky chest piece, so whilst it does fit, and there's not really any clipping, yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that, but yeah, mixing and matching with those bulkier pieces of armor will probably be the best. I just personally think this helmet's really cool, and I really like the Viera version. Of course, this thing can be stored in your outfit storage. Instead of taking up 2 slots, it will only take up 1, which seems like a bit of a waste, honestly. I don't mind when there's 4 or 5 pieces being consolidated into one item, but this doesn't really take up any less room, really, just 1 space. And as you can see, I'm already kind of nearly full on all of the storage that I can physically hold, and I keep having to throw stuff into a retainer. So you can do it, but yeah, it's up to you whether or not you think it's worth it. And of course, without the actual helm, we just have the one-piece replacer for chest, arms, legs, and feet. which isn't too bad, honestly. Depends on how long your hair is, though, because as you can see, there is a fair amount of clipping here with my character. And of course, you've got that sort of cushion interior and the big bronze rim of where the helmet is supposed to sit. So it doesn't look too bad, but again, your mileage is going to vary. And I don't know how many people are actually going to use the power suit itself as glam. I don't know. It's a big commitment, isn't it, taking up all of those slots? But it does look cool. It really does. Maybe for your crafters or gatherers or something like that. But yeah, it's not a bad suit. Here's what it would look like if you use the Star Pilot helm with the actual replacer one piece as well. And also a demonstration of the Powersuit helm as well, which, as you can see, is a much smaller helm. The actual suits are much smaller as well. But the advantage with stuff like the Powersuit and the Star Pilot suit is they actually have individual pieces to change as well, whereas this looks a little bit daft, the helm stuck in the actual suit. So yeah, in terms of helms, it's going to be tricky to find something other than the Powersuit helm that looks correct with the Powersuit, but I'm sure it can be done, perhaps. But yeah, all in all, not a bad little outfit. I do like the, the visor commands, things like that. It's quite cool. I do like it. I do think we need to have more pieces separated in future sets, but we also have another Glamour coming up, so maybe that one will be just as exciting, if not better. So stay tuned for more videos from 7.41 from me, and I'll do my best to showcase them in as much detail. Much love, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.